All right, right now joining me is our political panel. In the studio, we have Basil Smikle, Javier Lacayo, we have Robert George, and we have Will Veyga. All these four gentlemen in the various parts of the, if I get into all your credentials, it could all be very boring, but let's just say they're all political experts of all different stripes, shall we say. Gentlemen, we heard Chuck Schumer there. We know what he's really worried about was not his re-election, which was a given, but perhaps his future as majority leader, or will he become minority leader? I have to ask you, just strictly from a Schumer perspective, he's looking at what's going on in this state right now. He's got it locked up. But a lot of Democrats, and Basil, I'll start with you, a lot of Democrats are a little concerned about what's going on right now in the race for governor.
They are. And a lot of the early polling said that this race was going to be tight. If that ends up being the case, I still think Kathy Hochul pulls it out. And what I think the results of that polling would suggest is that Democrats got really concerned. Democrats got really nervous and said, you know what, we need to step out here a little bit harder and stronger. We saw them doing some campaign GOTV type work in Brooklyn, which means they would have been a little concerned there, and you saw some heavy hitters come in for Kathy there. So I think all of this attention really in the last week has probably given the Hochul campaign that little boost that they needed at the end. And let me just say very quickly, I do not overestimate or underestimate the role that the beating and the break-in in the Pelosi home in California had. It is a bit of a wake-up call for a lot of folks, because if you're concerned about threats to democracy, however that's defined, that incident is just another example of what I think a lot of folks were afraid could happen down the road. I don't know if it contributed 10 points, 15 points, right, but every little thing may have contributed to this concern and urgency for Democrats in this race. All right,
speaking of concern and urgency, in this race, I'm going to go to you, Javier, just to be fair, we're going in order here. This wasn't picked ahead of time. But the concern and urgency among so many in this race was about crime. Yeah. And that was, as we know, clearly Lee Zeldin took his campaign and said, I've got one word, and it's called crime, and I'm going to repeat it over and over again. Some people called it fear and loathing. Some people said it was fair. Do you think it's resonating, or it has resonated in the city, even if he can't pull this off tonight?
Yeah, I absolutely think it did. You know, what we saw with Governor Hochul is I think she took she took a tactic out of the playbook that a lot of Democrats were employing during this midterm season, which was leaning into the issue of abortion, leaning into the post-Roe decision, when in reality a lot of voters in New York were more concerned on crime and more concerned on inflation and the economy. And so I think that it was a little bit of a blind spot for the governor's campaign, but you know, like Basil said, I think that she's going to eke it out at the end here.
Okay, speaking to you, gentlemen, hold your fire for 1 minute, because we're going to cut in to tell you that Nicole Maliotakis has been declared the winner in her race in Staten Island. Not a huge surprise there. She beat Max Rose, and let's look at the numbers right now. 63%. That might be a surprise. 63% to 37%. That is a very huge victory. Yeah, considerable victory. And it makes you wonder what kind of numbers that Lee Zeldin may be pulling up in Staten Island, because he certainly need to run up the score, Robert.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Basil's right that Kathy Hochul probably.
Hold on, just for 1 second, apparently.
Well, I know there's another big race happening in the state right now, so they may be busy. But look, I was very fortunate to have the endorsement of so many wonderful organizations and good government groups, and I thank them all for putting their reputations on the line and supporting our reelection. So with that said, I thank you all. The work just begins now, right? Because the people that I met each and every day on this trail, they've put faith in me. They put faith in me that I'm going to go back to Washington, hopefully with a majority that gives us the tools. And the first thing we're going to do is fire Nancy Pelosi. And if we can get that done, I believe there will be accountability for the Biden administration. I think America's best days are ahead. We will get this country back on track, and the work starts tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. God bless you, and God bless our great country.
All right, Robert, you were rudely interrupted by the Congresswoman from Staten Island while you were about to make your point, but go ahead.
This is New York. We all interrupt.
Yes, absolutely.
I think Hochul will probably pull it out, but the fact that it's narrower than anticipated, I think will have ripple effects. It will have ripple effects through the rest of the state. I mean, I think we were all kind of surprised, not so much that Nicole Maliotakis won, but the margin, like 63-37, was pretty high. I think those are the type of numbers that are causing Sean Patrick Maloney headaches in his district.
Hudson Valley 17th,
the Hudson Valley one, and I think there's some others that are likely to flip, potentially flip as well because of the relatively non-coattails that Governor Hochul has.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the 17th, 18th, and 19th, which could have some flip congressional seats right there.